When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world. Septum Sin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching Septum Sin vs. the World. I'm Septum Sin, and this is Kotobuki Jake.
Right?
We're here to show you what they got.
Yes.
And I think, and we had a Department of Corrections before we get started on this.
And we have Fu with us as well.
Yes.
Hey, Fu.
Our resident plushie. Good kitty. Alright. Go ahead.
Alright, so we have an interesting assortment this week, including one of last week's. Transit apparently got shoved back a week.
So when you see that, you know, and
Yes.
go to our past one, and
Yes.
you can hear a little bit more about Transit from the man himself.
Yes.
But for the rest of your DVD and Blu-ray needs, we got you covered right here. So, of course, as per usual, no Gundam.
No Gundam. No, there is a little bit of anime this week. It's a smattering of, according to Funimation, essentials, as well as other stuff.
A little schmitter-schmatter.
It definitely is an assortment that begs the question of, what do people at Funimation really consider to be essential?
Well, that's a good way. Why don't I lead off then with
Yes.
Panty and Stocking with Garterbelt?
Yes, you gotta remember Garterbelt.
You know, that actually is an essential in a lot of ways. I've got the limited edition of it.
Where is that?
I'm going to track it down.
Cool looking set.
But I mean, you can get the essential, but I think my copy is much cooler looking than
he got
that
the
one.
limited edition
Yep.
set.
I mean, something that raunchy. And
Yes, this is Panty and Stocking. And I don't remember their names, but they're crazy.
Scanty and
Scanty
knee
and knee
socks.
socks, yes.
Yes.
And is Garterbelt even on any of the artwork? I guess not. No, I guess not.
So, essentially, Panty and Stocking are angels who kind of got kicked out of heaven.
Kinda.
And so now they have to do some kind of like charity work for a priest named Garterbelt. And as for their namesakes, Panty and Stocking actually get their namesakes from their weapons. Whereas Panty can actually use her weapon, her panties or other people's underwear as guns, and Stocking can make her stockings into swords.
Mm-hmm.
So the art style is mostly simplistic with a few other interesting parts, and it is a decent series. So the ending teases a sequel that has never come.
Yeah, the ending is one of the biggest FUs in any show I've ever seen, ever. But it may have been teasing another
I think
season.
they were intending to do
They may
another
have been.
season and just couldn't get the funding.
Yeah.
But
About the art style, I'm going to say real quick, Panty and Stocking is definitely a rude, crude, vulgar show, no doubt about it. And Funimation's English dub makes no bones about that at all. Well, actually, just to back up a little more, Panty is a hoe, to put it kindly. And Stocking is obsessed with sweets. She's very much a glutton. And they're both extremely slothful. They hate working. They're supposed to collect these coins so they can get back into heaven, and they hate doing it. And it was, and they've got this weird little hanger-on who's in love with Panty, and then there's Chuck. And I don't know what Chuck is.
he comes from like Invader Zim, I think.
But about the art style, this is a show that would be would be perfectly at home visually on, let's say, Disney XD. Everything about it screams, we want to make a show that will appeal to American audiences. The episodes are named after American films. Of course, it doesn't say they think much of American audiences with how raunchy it is. It would be a really good show for fans of South Park. It really would.
You see, the Invader Zim character at the top and the Panty and Stocking character. There's a slight similarity.
The one thing I will say about Panty and Stocking, this will be the last thing I'm going to throw out, the ending sequence. The theme song, Fallen Angel, is a great song. It's one of the better ending themes in all of anime, and it has a hilarious visual that goes along with it. So, it's a great ender. So
they have a good. One of my favorite tunes also is that D-Rock City. Was it D-Rock? As they had
a whole episode where they did
a
they
music
were rock,
video.
Yeah.
So it was fun, but some episodes require a strong stomach.
Yes.
And the ability to not be puritanical.
Yes. If you can be offended, you probably will be.
Yes.
Another one that Funimation has labeled as an essential, and I'm just going to mention it just because, is In Another World with My Smartphone, which, if I understand correctly, is an isekai series where dude gets to date his smartphone. That's my understanding of the shorthand of the series. It is widely renowned as one of the stupidest concepts in the last few years, and Funimation is calling it an essential. I just find that funny.
I just heard the name, but I've never bothered to look at it.
I haven't really looked into it.
I didn't have an interest in it. Of course, speaking of stuff that I don't have an interest in, Johnny Depp's movie The Professor is releasing to pretty much zero fanfare. He's not exactly the most popular actor these days.
And yet he still gets work on a regular basis, it seems.
Well, he's trying. He is trying to revive his career. But he also seems to be trying just as hard to sink his career. So we'll see how it goes. I used to be really big into collecting Johnny Depp stuff. I'm not so big into it now. But I may, if it comes across cheap, get a hold of a copy of this.
The dude has talent.
He does.
There is no question. He has talent. But he has always had a chip on his shoulder about fame, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
And it seems like he has always tried to do whatever he can to buck expectations, whether for better or for worse. So we'll see what happens eventually. I may see this film eventually, but I've not even heard of it, honestly. One that features some other strong-willed actors, but rather generally not so out of favor.
Oh, well.
A film that many would call a classic. And indeed, I have an unwatched copy sitting in my collection waiting to be watched. The Western Lonesome Dove is getting a Steelbook re-release this week. So, this is a very highly acclaimed film. A lot of people love it. I want to say it's based on, is it Larry McMurtry? One of those big Western authors who's really popular. I want to say Larry McMurtry, but I might be getting it wrong. But the book is pretty popular, too. But like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's just, I got such a long wait list. And I already have it, so I probably won't get this edition. But if you don't, Steelbook. No.
I mean, I'm not a big Western fan, so it's not one I've even bothered to hear about. Mm-hmm. But again, I just don't travel in those circles. A Western has to be really, really, really on top for me to do it, or hit a couple of marks.
This one does have a phenomenal cast: Tommy Lee Jones, Robert Duvall, a whole bunch of people in there.
It's weird. I've never heard of it.
Huh, okay.
But then again, it is what it is. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big Western fan.
Right.
Let's see. Speaking of re-releases and steelbooks,
yeah,
the original Mothra movie is getting a steelbook release. For those of you Godzilla fans, his favorite rival, Mothra, has that standalone film with the two little Japanese girls that accompany him or her. I really don't know. It's just kind of a big moth. I've never really understood why Mothra was that powerful. It's just like a big moth.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm sure it's like laser eyes or something, but...
I think so. And I feel like Mothra... I know there was one of those tie-in movies that I saw when I was a kid. I think it was Mothra, but it's been so long.
I know that Godzilla fights Mothra several times. I think they team up occasionally. It's... there's a lot of kaiju-based movies from Japan, so you can get lost in
and of course,
the numbers.
Mothra featured in the most recent, was it King of Monsters or whatever?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that... No wonder.
Well, I think it's like... Mothra is the most famous of the Godzilla rivals. So it makes sense.
All right. And you did point out that was a Steelbook release, right?
Yeah, I said, yeah. Steelbook.
So... A lot of people are probably going to be excited about that, actually.
Yeah, if you are a kaiju fan, that's a must.
Yeah.
It would have to be a $5 Ben thing. Godzilla, that's one thing. Maybe if it came out on Criterion.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good idea for a Criterion release, would just be a kaiju bundle, like a big... That'd be cool. That would be...
like a Godzilla collection.
Yeah. They have the original, right?
They have the original, the Gojira.
Yeah. So, another collection that I've been wanting to get into, have not yet. I think I talked about it the last time it came up on our list. So I won't say much more about The Magicians, except that it looks like a fun series. And we have Season 4 coming out this week.
Lots of those TV series getting in there.
Yeah. There's so many of them.
Well, a re-release is coming out to 4K. And that one is Waterworld, the Kevin Costner film. Now, in all truth, 4K would probably be a good fit for this.
It might.
Because they spent way too much money on this film. So it would not surprise me if they used top-notch film, and it would be an easy upgrade.
My understanding was that they really, really did.
They poured a lot of money.
They poured a lot of money into that.
And they lost a lot of money.
Yes.
Kevin Costner was riding high.
You could even say they took a bath with that one.
People thought that Kevin Costner could do no wrong at that time until that happened. And then The Postman happened. And then kind of Kevin Costner kind of...
Did The Postman come after Waterworld?
Yeah, I was after Waterworld.
Oh, okay.
And, 2 post-apocalyptic flops. One worse than the other one. Because Waterworld did better than The Postman did. And, but it's kind of strange. I actually did not mind Waterworld or The Postman. They were entertaining films. They were not great films. But, Mad Max on the Ocean is not bad.
I love that movie poster that Cracked put up for The Postman with Cliff Clavin on there. I would see that movie.
Yes.
Anyway, the next up, speaking of television, this is, I believe, the final season of a show that we did watch up to about season 4. Gotham's 5th and final season is coming out. And I will hopefully get it on Black Friday and complete my collection. I will definitely look forward to one day completing the series. It was a fun series, even though it jumped the rails from canon way early in the series. And they made some dubious choices as they went along. It was a fun series, and it had some real highlights. So where the dude that played Zaz was freaking awesome. The dude that played Ra's al Ghul was pretty freaking awesome. They had some really good choices here and there. I have mixed feelings about how they did Ivy, but some of the characterization, it was infinitely better than that freaking Schumacher film.
Well, a lot of things were infinitely better than the Schumacher film.
And the way they did Freeze was infinitely better than that film, yes.
It would not take much.
It would not take much, no. But
the 60s Batman handled their villains better than Schumacher
and actually,
did.
the John Dillman's Carmen Falcone was a freaking awesome character, too. So they did a really good job with some of it. Gordon's stick in the mud nest got a little old after a while.
Yeah.
And they never quite settled on what to do with Barbara Keene. They kept whipping her around every which way. It had its good. And I didn't like how apparently the Joker was indeed the Joker. Or at least that was the impression I got. I'm like, I like the idea better of him setting the stage. But Cameron Monaghan did a great job with that character. So it's worth a lot. If you haven't watched the show, it's worth a look.
Yeah, it's enjoyable enough.
Yeah, it's an alternate telling.
Especially the first few seasons were really good.
Yeah.
I think
there were a few seasons.
Well, I mean, season 1 and 2 were really good.
Right.
I think season 3 and 4 were okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know about season 5, though I've heard that people did not like the take on the Batman that they came up with.
Yeah, I believe they brought, I think the final episode, they fast-forwarded, about 10 years or so?
Yeah.
And then they ended up with, they had an interesting thing where the same kid that played Batman all along played Batman, but the girl that played Catwoman all along said, you know what, I'm not playing it 10 years older, and someone else played the role. So it's kind of like, well, that's kind of weird, but...
Yeah, I did not like the guy who played Bruce.
I think he grew as the series went on.
I should say, I didn't mind the actor. He did an okay job. I didn't like the way they characterized it.
Cameron Bicondova was great as Selena Kyle, though. She was great. Yeah.
Well, enough of that.
Enough of that for now.
So one more re-release from... No, actually, that's not true. There's a lot of re-releases.
Sometimes that is better.
Matter of fact, everything I've got left are re-releases.
No, isn't this one an initial release?
No, all
three
of
that's
those,
the old one.
Well, actually, no, the first one is an initial release.
Yes.
So let me get that one done so we can get back to the re-releases.
Yes.
Which is the new Pet Sematary is coming out.
Yes.
For those of you who want to see it and haven't gotten it, I'm meh to it. I'll see it if it comes to me for free.
Which is why I put a hold on through the library. Yeah.
But I'm not going to make extra time for it. So I've got other things to put in front.
Okay.
Maybe they'll cover it on Men's Side Movies Galore, and then it'll give me an excuse to watch it. It's sort of like that movie Intruder that we've got to the end. I've been curious, and I still might not watch it. But I've been curious, and this might be the excuse I have to watch it.
I still find it fascinating that we did Animal April and no one nominated Pet Sematary.
Yeah, true.
I just thought that was weird. So maybe next time.
Maybe.
But, so we have two, well, my last two are both sets. They're both collections of older films. Criterion does have a release this week, and it looks kind of interesting. It's called the BRD Trilogy. BRD apparently being short for Bundesrepublik Deutschland. I hope I pronounced that correctly, and my German is eh. And it's by director Rainier Werner Fassbinder, who is a very famed director that I have to admit I'm not that familiar with. But this is a trilogy: The Marriage of Maria Braun, Veronika Voss, and Lola. It looks interesting. It looks artsy. It looks like something that I will have to get one of these days. I may even try to get it during the sale because the collections are so much cheaper. But
as with most of the Criterions, you'll have to get them all one day, right? Got like Pokemon, you gotta collect them all.
Wait a minute, really? This says in 1977. That I guess is when The Marriage of Maria Braun came out. Rainier Werner Fassbinder was 32 years old and had already directed more than 25 feature films. Ooh, that's getting started early. Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
That's better than Woody Allen numbers at that age. Jeez. He just started... Well, of course, he could have put out multiple ones in a year.
True.
Didn't say what the quality was of the early films.
It did not.
So, let's see here. Well, one more movie and one series for me. They're doing a re-release of the original Silent Hill movie, which was not a bad film. It was a decent... The Silent Hill films were decent reimaginings of the game. I feel like they had a better hand on it than Resident Evil had, than the director of Resident Evil, but that director thought the games were trash anyway. So, which is kind of funny that he takes mostly video game movies on. But this one, I enjoy it. It is a guilty pleasure of mine. Actually, the Resident Evil movies are also guilty pleasures of mine. But I did enjoy this one. For those of you who are Silent Hill fans, you should just take a look at it. Don't hold it to a lot of the lore. I think it goes off the hinges about halfway through. But at the same time, it's worth checking out.
Did you show me that one?
I may have. It's one that I really liked.
I remember you either showed me that or tried to make me watch a good chunk of the game. Or both. I can't remember.
Hey, the games are awesome.
Hey. Alright, so my last one is one that I actually am pretty excited about. Do you recall, is this Kino Lorber or Shout or who's doing this?
I do not know.
But whatever we have a...
It looks...
Yeah, that looks like Kino. Doesn't
Could
it?
be a Kino.
Wouldn't snap it
surprise
to
me.
bring it up.
I'm not sure whether that'll cut us off or not.
Nope. Oh, it's Cohen Media Group. Okay, so that's kind of a weird... Cohen Media... I don't understand with Cohen Media Group. There must be an outlet for them. We get their stuff all the time at the library, but if you try to look on Amazon, you will find limited at best and pay an arm and a leg.
So you better get it while you can.
Yeah, but Cohen Media Group is putting out a Buster Keaton collection. This is apparently Volume 2, and it includes the films The Navigator and Sherlock Jr.
Yes.
I have never seen The Navigator, but I have seen Sherlock Jr., and it is a fun movie.
Isn't Sherlock Jr. available on Criterion?
I don't recall that...
I know that there is Buster Keaton in Criterion.
There is. I don't know if there's Sherlock Jr. It is available. There are editions of it out there. It's not like these are impossible to find films, but Cohen does a good job with their editions, so it might be worth picking up the set if you can. But if you can't, or if you can, Buster Keaton was awesome. And some of his films are true, indisputable classics. And I would say Sherlock Jr. is one of those. In terms of the old, silent, slapstick films, he had some of the great films. And so definitely give those a look if you haven't already. And they're short. A lot of people don't like silent films. You only have to sit through like an hour, maybe an hour 20 for his longest one. You know,
Well,
they're short. Sherlock Jr. I think is an hour even, if I remember correctly.
and it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's not like you're having to like wade through it all. It's not bad. There are some silent films that are truly enjoyable. But what's not a silent film is the last thing that I have for us today, which is Pet Shop of Horrors has a Blu-ray release. I think this might be the first time Sentai is releasing it on Blu-ray. And I think they're trying to convert all their back catalog that they still have the rights to Blu-ray.
and they've been converting some pretty random and oddball ones last.
And Pet Shop of Horrors is... It's like a horror anthology. A lot of the way it treats it is you have this central thing that connects it all. This weird pet shop that sells strange pets to people, with odd rules that they have to follow. And everybody seems to have one thing in common: they break the rules and they pay for it.
Of course.
So. With that, and there's a detective that seems to be trying to track them down. It's also one of those that uses the trope that is pretty common in older Japanese anime. And it's not that old. I think it's like 2000s maybe. But, you know, which is the creepy gay guy. They did that in Ninja Scroll. They've done it in a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's, which is the pet shop owner. But still... It's not a bad one, and it does have some good scares for those of you strong of will and strong of stomach. So if you are someone who is wanting those rare anime horror that's done right, this is one of those that does it pretty well.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether you would be able to deal with that one or not.
Yeah, I get enough horror from Panty and Stocking, you know. Oh, we forgot to mention something with that one that I meant to say. The dude that voices Garterbelt in the Funimation dub does a really good job. I can't remember, is it Chris Ayers or is it... I know it's someone who's well known. But I swear... They really should have reached out to Samuel L. Jackson for that role. It would have been so great.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I don't know. Well, actually, I was going to say I don't know if he would take it, but he's taken some weird stuff.
He has taken some weird stuff, yes.
So with that being said, I hope you all have enjoyed our weekly news video. And, of course, if you like our stuff, hit that like button. If you want to watch more of our stuff and keep in contact with us, subscribe and comment. What is coming out this time that you have an interest in? Are there things we have missed? I miss some things on the indie scene. If I do hear about releases, I do let them out. I'm a little bit more in touch with it than I used to be. But, you know, if there are anything new, let us know. And, of course, we usually respond to most comments that are made on our stuff.
Although I've been very lazy lately, and I've been far behind on my videos. I'm getting back to it, though.
I've been getting comments on some older reviews and stuff like that,
okay.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it is kind of cool to do, and, of course, we appreciate all of you lovely subscribers. Yeah. So we will see you on the next one.
Goodbye. Goodbye.